If you start doing the roads.
All right, we're back on. So, and Adrian's, so I guess we could have waited another minute. And we are gonna be on 8:05, additional, or no, the circuit clerk budget, 8:04. Correct. We did not approve that. Oh my goodness. Might need some of your help on that. That's quite the up. What part?
$100,000.
It's a 50% increase.
So there were salaries that were in a different fund.
Oh,
So the,
So it's not an
More
overall
automation.
increase to the budget.
Yeah.
and document storage, so
Document.
those funds are, the revenue source is court fees, so with the Safety Act, we've seen a dramatic decrease with the amount collected. She could not support those employees anymore, so they had to be moved back to the general fund. So
Okay.
2 circuit clerks ago, those funds were flush with cash, so in order to help the general fund out at that time, she moved those employees out. But now we're kind of in a world of hurt with those 2 funds and they need to move. So that's the cause for the drastic increase.
So it's still the same overall budget for the most. Hey, we don't have money in these other funds. You know what the difference is there? I mean, how much of that 47% increase is that? Do we know? Did that go to committee, Mr. Bush, at all? Do you remember? I'm just
Trying to look now.
Let me go to the other, I can see what the. Here. So the budget for the salaries and document storage is 38.5. And then in court automation, it was 60,000.
That's 90,000. That's still pretty hefty increase.
I think part of that is
60,600.
they were not fully staffed the entire year. They had so much turnover. There would be a month where there's nobody being paid, and the next month, there'd
Gotcha.
be 2 people.
So that's a $90,000 increase.
As you stated, she was short quite a bit.
Oh, I missed too, the $100,000 to the e-citation.
Yeah, so the e-citation line is, that's a court cost that is collected in the general fund. It used to be built into a separate line, but last year she asked that the e-citation revenue be separated. So she's been collecting those fees for years and has not utilized any of those dollars. So all of that revenue needs to be, by state statute, needs to be used for certain things. So we built all of that into this expense for all of those years past. She does have some expenses that she will use that $100,000 for.
And that will be on the county board agenda for Thursday night to approve software for the citation, and also to intergovernmental agreement with the city. They agreed to go and have partly to pay for that as well.
So is that not all included in this 694? That's, we're gonna get revenue to pay for that somewhere else?
It's in the general fund revenue.
Oh, what's the community budget in this?
Now, she do have a request in for administrator assistant. She already included 4%, but she's asking for 6%. With the committee could not talk with him, he couldn't vote on a number like that because it wasn't on the agenda. we're bringing it here now for discussion.
So this is built into this line right here, so it's a
Right.
$1,025 in salary. It's increased from the 4 to the 6.
And what we already approved is 52.
So this was one of the more confusing budgets because of the personnel request.
Right.
So she brought it forward as the 53.3, which only included the COLA and didn't provide. Here's the other option.
Well, yeah, that's a bit of a tough pill, given all the other overall increase. Even though I realize some of it's coming from other places.
Now, she did give us a number, we didn't want to go with the 6%, 4% is lower 53,000. 5% would be still low 53,000.
So this, I sent to all of you the overall cost of all of the personal requests.
Mhm.
So in the grand scheme of things, it's an extra 29,000 in the individual funds.
Mhm. It is terrible. Or with everything else for the.
6% is $1,000 more than the 4%. It's not a huge
Right.
number.
Not a huge.
The issue I would have with it is to be fair among all the other employees in the county that are getting a 4% COLA. That's my take. Yeah.
You know, I agree with that, you know, but I'm also looking at the covers a lot of things. And the administrative assistant, she works hand in hand with her, and once again, we're not looking at. But that department covered. They have to do, and that, like everybody knows, rules change all the time. And like I said, $1,000, it ain't that much different. You understand, other people might see it different. But I'm looking at the department stuff.
Personnel request?
Personnel request.
Yes.
On the other line, we don't have a unit contract.
For second part now, the negotiations.
So she's basing a $1 raise in there. We don't know if that's gonna actually happen.
One thing is the county is not involved in these negotiations.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, we got $410,000 plugged into that line, we really don't know what that is. Right?
Right.
That's the additional employees from the other funds, the 3 employees. And
Well, no, she's saying that if you look at the notes,
Yeah.
based on a dollar raise, union contract. With 2 employees from Port Auto, 1 employee document storage, so that's where some of that impact is. But she's also saying that that's including a $1 raise for her. I'm just trying to make sure that's fair. We don't know what the union folks are gonna get in percentage. Going back to the 4 versus 6. But, yeah, and thought about that, but somebody else looks at that and they say, why do they get 50%?
it's the public defender is just approved an extra 12,000. So that sets a precedent as well.
Oh.
So that's why I sent the list out to kind of get an overall of every single ask and what that total would be. Because if you look at each individual budget, like it's just approved the public defender $12,000 increase, but now since the circuit clerk, since she's moving those people, but the 6% seems a little bit more impactful. So I don't know if you could look at all the personnel requests as a whole or individually in each budget.
All right, let's take a look at it both ways. I'm just, when I look at the overall. Yeah. That's even the hard part. And that wasn't just thinking about.
I wish there was a different option for those three employees, but
No, thoughts?
I'll make a motion.
You are more than welcome to make a motion.
Make some motion.
Approved as is,
Yeah.
or with the 4% COLA or 6%.
6%.
6%. Second.
Second, just because of all those reasons that she put in that personnel request. So I think the things that they're
Right.
retrain somebody to.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. 805.
this is a flat budget.
Yeah, kind of nice.
Who would approve 805?
You didn't even look at it yet.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Mr. Bush seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Court ordered expense. 806.
So move.
I have a motion to approve. I'll hear a second. Looks like they're spending less.
If I can address this line here. This is a case that, murder case for the child involved. They need an expert witness, and the case keeps getting continued. So that is why this budgeted expense is there, but they haven't been spending it.
Jumped so much from the previous years to last year,
Right.
because that case was held.
I don't know if you have it or not, I give a second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I mean, if they know they've got a more hefty expense coming in, they haven't really increased anything else. I assume some of that is some case. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jury commission.
There's one line that's being deleted, another that's being just adding postage in the description. This hasn't been used in the past, but postage is being charged back to the office for bulk mailings. Increase that to 1,000.
I think I always wondered what it would be like for a serving a jury. Same, finally got one.
It must be the same one I got called.
One's two.
Move to approve the 07.
Have a motion? And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Law library,
So just to give a little bit of background, law library used to be its own fund. Then the court costs started decreasing and general fund was constantly making transfers to law library to fund their accounts payable. So we just decided to incorporate it into the general fund. So court fees are collected to fund the law library, but underfunds it, yes. So I think this is it Westlaw? Westlaw, yes. Where the attorneys get their research materials.
pretty hefty increase there. I mean, they're on track to spend, at least by my calculations, about 3,035 next year. And that's less than
It might
the previous
be-
2 years.
It might just be quarterly.
So it had the third quarter.
I think it's now, it used to be. And that's a well-planned budget, and you're coming in at what you said you're gonna spend.
Just looking at previous years, like the 2022 actual, 2023 actual.
Yeah.
Based on the cases.
I'm not sure if it's a silver of users.
Motion, and a second. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? County Board of Expenses.
So county board expense, we increased mileage $1,000 and meeting transcriber. And then deactivated the board meeting camera operator. That position is no longer needed.
What was the miscellaneous expense?
We always recommend having kind of a miscellaneous expense just in case something comes up that you didn't prepare for, doesn't fall into any one of these categories.
Mr. Chairman, if I can support the miscellaneous expense line, if it were up to me, every fund. Simply because we had gotten away from this, but departments in years previous would run out of money in a line, and they would just pay whatever from any line that was left, and it was overrepresenting an expense or underrepresenting another.
Right.
So we never truly knew what they were spending it on. So this way, you can break it. If you have something that you didn't know was coming in miscellaneous, that makes the rest of your budget more transparent.
Well, I have an entertaining motion, I guess. Mr. Rivers, second, anybody? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now to kind of clerk and report.
So this does include the personnel request for the deputies. So it's a 4% COLA plus conditional 1.5% supplement included. So here. So right here is what is included in the 902 budget.
This was, we talked about this in the administration committee. It's a comparable job openings in the area. Trying to keep the people. And so to stay under that. 6%. Half because some of them are factor. The state at 6% can because of the overtime. So salaries, protect the person in the department. Basically, the should salaries.
So the overall impact. I would entertain a motion on this one.
I moved to approve 902.
Okay, we got a motion, I hear a second. Seconds, any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
There's another personal request here. It's the additional 1.5. Overall,
Say something.
oh, the polling place accessibility grant, there's a corresponding revenue in the general fund for this grant as well.
And so the overall budget impact, yeah, it's very minimal. That's actually. You know how much the grant was?
Was written 6 and then I got something. Now it's good. I gotta go back and forth.
So we should not change that amount.
It's usually, Rock City Fire Department. And it's, yeah.
That's it.
$146,914. Then they gotta go back and record the Rock City thing. 30. $30. Here it is, 30,228. They gotta go back and record. I think some of that's gonna be 15, so. 131.
Then you're paying for that.
Yeah, and it's gonna get reimbursed.
I just didn't know if I should change the 140 and decrease it, and then
Yeah,
decrease
of
the
course.
revenue as well.
We got to correspond. Let's see. 32 on both of those. It's gonna go. Top side, the revenue and the expense. It's a push. It's a city, yeah, it doesn't. That, if I take 140 out of the 559, got 119, which would be a decrease from last year's budget. Is that correct? Anything we moved? Remember, because we.
Oh, the election equipment lease, and that was a huge expense that we did not have. So 55,000.
I moved to approve 904.
I have a motion, do I hear a second? Got a motion and a second, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Let's see, we'll move on to Well, let's get 906.
Okay, 511.
Please.
So, the biggest thing I want to draw your attention to is the green in the purple. So this is something actually I should have done 2 years ago. I have redefined the position and eliminating the deputy treasurer position, because that position now not only performs all the deputy treasurer duties, but has been the payroll manager for the past nearly 2 years and has never been rightly compensated for that. And I have never changed position description. So it's long past time, and I've already started to compensate that person this year out of a different fund. This is to set this basically right going forward, so the COLA, had the position remained the same, this position would have only bumped up to 39. So I did not, if I had this position in place, the COLA would have put it over $45,000. So basically, it's $5,200 position change. If I'm explaining that correctly. So there is no longer a deputy treasurer. There's a payroll manager, who is also a deputy treasurer who performs all those duties. And this person has been with the county since 1998. Has a tremendous institutional knowledge, and is basically the only one who can do her job at this point. And that's payroll. And that's a lot of state, federal reporting. It's dealing with each of the departments, and our department head meeting this past week, we highlighted how difficult that can sometimes be. And this job gets done well every time and has been undercompensated to my detriment for the past 2 years. And this is the reason why the change is as it is. So it's not really a new line, it's a replacement line. And it's just that replacement encompasses a greater skill set and job performance duties. So even knowing that, the overall budget difference in the life benefit rate is under 7%. And my salary, which is determined by you all, accounts for almost 3% of that total, a little over 3%. So the other employees sticking to the 4% COLA, made minor adjustments to the operational expenses. So I believe, though this is an increase, there would have been an increased budget anyway. This was the right time to get this particular position redefined and corrected. And committee agreed, and I hope that you will as
Motion to approve. I hear a motion. Do I hear a second? I hear a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, administrator.
Yes, when you were discussing the HSA funding amounts, I was upstairs hoping to try to get the information and get back down here before it was passed. From what Ms. McBride said, we decided to bump the $1,500 to an $1,800 deductible. However, the only other change you made was with the family and bumping it a full $500. Currently, the HSA funding is $1,500 for independent or employee only, $2,000 for employee and spouse, $2,500 for employee and children, and then $3,000 for family. I went and pulled the numbers, and over a quarter of the people who are in the HSA plan are employee and child, and most of them are new kids. I don't know if you want to keep that 35 at family, or maybe do 33 and split that other increase between those other steps. But I just feel like not bringing that to your attention, a good chunk of quarter of the people in the HSA.
You know what those deductibles are different?
Yes, they've gone up, but it did.
Say they were minutes. That's what she said. It was
Just the two one.
That's why we did it.
Send it to me.
They're, the whole point is trying to pull it from.
So, right, it
There's a
looked
two on the
like,
end.
so 24, so it looked like single and family were the only ones that changed.
It's
So bumping this one and this one.
If that's not the case,
Well, she was here, and she was, we went over that.
And I mean, those steps that we did to fully fund the current deductibles. Okay. Those other steps, that it's just our idea to break it down
yeah, so
per each. I'm gonna text you.
deductible, and here. It's in front of you. Keeping the deductible. Looks to me like the deductible on the inside. It's fully funded.
We have to work those numbers anyway. We're not passing in budgets that are impacted by HSA contributions or insurance.
So it's fine then.
What's that gonna go on? Yeah.
We're getting close to the time that I was hoping to shut down the day. Well, we got two more pages. Uh, and we gotta come back to the question of the levy request. Uh, well, that's it. Let's hit the next couple, try that. I have to come back and discuss it.
I would like to have time to be able to discuss the summary page before we go back to the levy question.
Okay,
In fact,
gotcha. 909, supervisor of assessments.
So there are two personnel requests built into this budget. It's an additional 2% for the chief deputy and the deputy. I will say that the assessor's office has been short-staffed ever since. Correct.
she's got the justification in
Yes.
the. Again, it was kind of the same situation with the thing with the way that, you know, so it's that.
Have someone do a study, automation sales. Could be easy.
Well,
So the overall budget is 2.61%
Yeah, it's pretty good.
increase.
Terrible.
It's in the thousand
What's your
dollars.
pleasure? Very, motion to approve in a second. Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Order review.
This is flat.
move to approve 910. Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Let's go back. You mentioned the summary page.
Yes.
So, summary page.
So as it stands right now, there's a surplus in the general fund of 28,000. That includes $3 million in cash carry forward. That includes the $100,000 increase in levy request. That includes removing the $344,000 transfer to the capital fund for supplemental requests. Also, there is a portion of the income tax revenue that goes directly to the capital fund. And 130,000 of that was removed and put back into the general fund. And that also includes, the sheriff and I have had numerous conversations about the courthouse expense repairs that he has been making through ARPA fund dollars. He believes that $250,000 of that will be unspent. So that $250,000 transfer going to the general fund is also included in that number. So you can see the increase in insurance, put the highway fund at the deficit. But the highway fund and the county motor fuel fund split the insurance costs. So I don't know if the highway department can manipulate those numbers to kind of put more of those costs into the county motor fuel fund, because as you can see, that's quite healthy.
Yeah, that's large.
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of them reworking their side of things. So you're highlighting the probation service fee surplus. Everything that goes in and out of that fund is dictated by the AOIC, so we really have it needs to be spent on certain things that are approved by the courts. So that's basically it's to us. The 911 fund has not put in any of their expenses. They have a board meeting on the 15th, I believe. So that will drastically be reduced. You won't see a surplus there. They're usually pretty even. Then the American Rescue Plan. I'm still working with all of the departments to see if they did receive dollars through the ARPA fund, if they're going to spend all of those dollars or not. So we have, like the county clerk had a project. I think she has $6,000 that she's not going to spend. So I'm just kind of going through it line by line to see what we're going to have left over, because we really need to get that to the penny. Because anything that we don't spend, we have to get back. I'm looking for us yet, but it has to be, the plan has to be in place by December 31st of this year. And then they have to be spent by 25. Does anybody have any other questions?
So, question, Ms. McBride showed us an increase in medical premiums of 765,000.
Yes,
Is that included in the summary?
that is included, yes, in the insurance fund right here. But and the HSA is in and out. So it really doesn't impact that bottom line, but it looks right now that we are okay in the insurance fund. Because we are going to see that increase in revenue from the employee contribution, since their percentage is increasing. And like I said, we were really planning for worst case scenario last year, so. It wasn't as horrible as we thought it was gonna be this year.
The question I have then is the levy is at 0% to get to these numbers?
Yes,
So if you, when I add back in BTSB, at 1.65, brings the total on the expense side up to 54,944, which is about $1 million less.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah. So then, that's good. Madam Treasurer, you got any comments on that?
Specific to 911, actually I do. I just spoke with the director yesterday. He is retiring. There is a new person that will be voted on, I think, very shortly to be approved by the board. But as you know, much like BAC and the nation, you guys don't, the board doesn't necessarily really control how 911 spends their money. And they do have a lot of it, and we've been investing well there, so they have a lot of money spent, but I kind of think some of these almost you should pull out, not even consider as the grand total, because you can't manipulate them. You can't change them. You can make suggestions to them, but it won't impact the day-to-day operations of our departments. But I'm very concerned, to be truthful, about what it took to get the general fund to be where it is. That tiny margin. It took a lot of puzzle pieces to be moved. And I'm not very comfortable with it. I'm just saying that it's a lot of things have to fall into place to make that. No, we fall well below recommended level of reserves, and that really concerns me.
And the 5% levy generated how much? 5.
530, 520.
One thing I can tell you, and I don't know what it would look like in the future, but the extension was 10/6. But by the time we get to it, there's always adjustments in the tax collection season. There is a line, if you read our distribution settlement sheets, called revenue recapture. This year, so far, we're up to $76,000. What that is, anytime there are a lot of corrections, to tax bills made like the previous year, like, 100 people remembered they're 65 and come and get that exemption. School board lobby years ago created this legislation that was passed that allows those monies that were discounted or exempted to be recaptured the following year. It's a backdoor tax increase, basically. So the only transparency about is this little tiny line that says revenue recapture. So we have that. This year we had something called a manual year prior adjustment related to an E-zone issue. That's not going to be an issue. So even though there was 10/6 extended, our expected tax collection is 10.761. So there's always going to be fluctuation. It's usually to the positive. So, that gives me a little bit of comfort, but I just think that's too close. Yeah. And I don't know that you necessarily need all the 500,000, but that 500,000 doesn't go right to the general fund. It's split out amongst your levy pieces, so. We spend a lot at Christmas, so we get a lot of income tax. I mean, it's dependent on spending, and a lot of the state payments are population based. So as we continue to lose population, our ratio is going to continue to drop. So if there's an opportunity, no one likes tax increases, obviously. But the opportunity to capitalize on any possibility for revenue is going to only decline over time. There's an opportunity here that may not exist later on.
So that brings us back to the question, increasing the 2025 levy request by 5% or some other percentage for the 2024. Personally, I don't like any tax increases. I also recognize the economic circumstances we're all in. From what has occurred over the last few years. So having said that, I guess I would be okay with a couple percent. Or something
Mr. Chairman,
on that. Yeah.
just to reiterate. So if you look at IMRF, at the history, when that percentage of the county contribution went up, so did the levy. So I don't know if the treasurer wants to speak on what she would feel comfortable with as far as the dollar amount. Because I do, again, think there's wiggle room in IMRF. A lot of it. We had that levy as low as 300,000 at one point.
I would agree that there is, and we were just discussing this, and I don't want to commit to a firm number, but I really believe there's another $250,000 in there that we could safely allocate elsewhere, even from cash carry forward. Because our rate has been low. We've got a surplus in that account right now, and we've been investing that one really well. So we can course correct next year if we need to, but I don't even foresee that being an issue unless there's some horrible thing that happens with, an IRF penalty, which we have been managing. It doesn't happen. That's the place to manipulate the levy the heaviest. I think that's a tool in your toolbox that I would ask.
So hear you say that, what I hear you implying in that is maybe we get half of it from that, half of this.
I think that's a great idea. Definitely consider it.
Any thoughts from anyone else?
If I remember correctly, as a result of the audit, they claimed we were 98% or so fully funded. So, supports what you're saying.
Anybody brave enough to make a motion?
So I'm not quite sure how it needs to be stated to change that.
Well, we don't need to do that right
You
now.
know,
We gotta prove a whatever percentage it is.
Exactly.
That has to run.
Make a motion to approve the levy at 3%.
3% going once. And a second. We have a motion and second. Adrian, what is that number?
$318,314.
That. Wonderful gals were telling us. You can do with the other stuff. It should be.
And less supplementals. We have to keep that in
Yes.
mind. We have not dealt with any of that.
Back to that. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So at this point, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You got that? Here a second? Adjournment? Here today? Okay, I got a second. When can everybody meet again? Can we sneak in one next week possibly? I know we can't meet on Monday night, maybe Tuesday evening? I'm gonna have a hard time doing any of the day meetings. It's like, it's not fun. Yeah, we did say.
Starts out Tuesday, now it's Tuesday, isn't it?
So obviously we got county board Thursday. Tuesday the 16th. Any other takers on that? I can do that.
What time? I got it.
Oh, is that where it starts? Oh.
That's,
We could kick in.
or no, he's changing it.
Yeah, the 15th is,
He was gonna change it. Instead.
we should.
He's gonna
You
change.
can make Monday the
He's changing it.
15th?
What time?
Well, let's see, everybody make it. Monday the 16th? Wednesday the 16th?
Nothing happens tonight, but be until Thursday.
Correct. Yeah, this will all be.
Just so,
Next week. You doing that?
At
Like
what time? I'm sorry.
6 o'clock, 5:30? 6 o'clock? We will adjourn to Wednesday, 10/16 at 6 p.m. in this room. I don't believe so.
So it's an adjournment or recess?
It's the reset. Get my Robert rule.
be a motion to recess.
Yeah, motion.
Yeah. Withdraw the second.
Motion to reset.
The recess until Wednesday, 10/16 at 6 p.m. And a second, motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Brought too many things.
And